Hey there gals, it's Metro, and today we're back with another Mythic Plus Dungeon solo, this time doing Maw of Souls 10. Usually, as we talked about in the last video, I wanted to do around 12 to 13. I actually came into this with great expectations, considering the last time I sold something was a month ago, and I've gotten incredible amounts of damage and player power in general since then. But ultimately, I found that the dungeon didn't seem to care about that, and I was still behind the 8 ball in almost every situation. So I had tried it on 12. I had it recorded a little bit, but you're not going to see any of that here. And we will talk about why I couldn't succeed on 12, and that was purely because of Harbron, or not Harbron, Yimron, the first boss. The first boss of the instance made it impossible for me to complete. Now, it probably would have been doable, so we'll talk about that when we get there, but I had already spent like over an hour on the first boss, and I was like, yeah, that's, I don't want to run out of time here. So I was going to do it on 11, but I was like, let's just make sure, because the first boss was not what I expected to struggle with. Let's put it that way. Helya was what I expected to make no progress on whatsoever, but we do actually find ourselves in a situation where we can kill Helya. Actually died on trash. Good game. Even on a 10. It's still hard, man. It's still hard. Now, this is one of the easiest weeks, if you ask me. Sanguine should not affect you soloing, at least not in this dungeon. Maybe there's some where you will kill things so fast that you'll constantly have mobs heal up, but should not affect you as soloing. And Volcanic should not affect you as soloing, because I didn't know this until today, actually. I just figured I'd move out of it regularly, but if you're the only, it seems, this is a hypothesis, of course, but the way it appears, you'll see in the video here, the only player in the dungeon and you're in melee range of the mob, it will not put Volcanic on you. So any boss or anything where, like, situation where I'm just standing right next to the mobs, it won't put Volcanic on me for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, so that's probably the first thing to talk about here. If anybody knows how Volcanic actually works, like the ins and outs of it, let me know. But I expected to be moving out of a lot of it, and it did not even, like, it never went on me unless, you know, I was out of range of the mobs. And that's going to happen a couple times. Some of the trash mobs in here kind of like run. They kind of like do that frontal charge thing, and then they're a couple yards away from me, and then Volcanic will spawn. Or even the bosses, you know, the ads come out on certain bosses, and that puts Volcanic out. Sometimes I'll be out running to get the ads on Yimron, and I'll be far enough away from the boss. Volcanic will spawn, but we'll talk about the boss when we get there. So anyway, the dungeon itself has almost nothing to discuss. I do want to talk about the bosses, as it's an incredibly difficult part of the dungeon, but the trash itself is fairly linear. Almost nothing to worry about, even though it's fortified weak. The other two effects don't affect the trash whatsoever. It's why it's such a good week for soloing. And even if you did wipe here and there, like I died there, it doesn't matter. Just come back to it again. So if you're going to try to solo this, be aware that the bosses are what is incredibly difficult. Now, of course, it is a 3-boss dungeon, something that kind of throws you off when you do the dungeon. You think, oh, it's going to be nice and quick. But when you're alone, the mechanics really hurt. They really, really matter. And this is one of the dungeons that I would say is impossible for non-Blood DKs and Vengeance Demon Hunters to do. I don't see how anybody would be able to survive these ads. I wish we could just, I want to just fast forward right to this boss because it's so ridiculous. But yeah, I do want to show the full run in its entirety to make sure that everybody understands how difficult this is. But regardless, yeah, the trash, there's nothing to talk about here. Like I said, just if you have to interrupt those flame casters, whatever, do it. But I just stand there, eat the fire damage, heal up through it. In terms of gear, here's something to talk about. I am using right now I'm using the most retarded setup ever. I just spent over an hour wiping on the 12, Yimron 12, so I'm still wearing what I wore there. I have the trinket from Desolate Host Mythic on, and it's got leech on it, so that was another reason I used it. I used it on Desolate Host, or I used it on Yimron and 12 because I just simply could not survive the ad. So I was using like defensive trinkets, but that ultimately wasn't even the biggest problem. So I don't know, I used it mostly because it had leech on it. There was so many targets, I assumed the leech would carry, and it did help, no doubt. And I'm also using the legendary belt and the legendary chest, which is something I talked a lot about recently after I've got it. I got it last Tuesday, so I've had it for 1 week now. Highly impactful in 5-mans, but also in raids. The big thing here is that it makes the umbilicus very, 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 very large. So as you're going to see regularly in my streams and my gameplay, I'm going to be getting, 10 to 15 million umbilicuses nowadays. So if you can use the belt alongside that, that's probably the best combination of legendaries that you can get for actual survival of AoE situations. Not always great for bosses, but yeah, the more umbilicus you can get on trash, the larger umbilicuses you'll get on trash, and the more death strikes you use on trash, you use more death strikes on trash thanks to how it works with death and decay and stuff like that. So extremely high synergy. Basically, when I have Dancing Room Weapon up, I pop it, and I get so many death strikes out that the ability, Vamp Blood, is actually back up after Umbilicus ends. Like, Umbilicus will end, and I'll have it back up. So, yeah, it's really nice. I absolutely love it. I think it's the way to solo any type of trash, and I'll probably be using it a lot. So I'm really happy that I finally got it. Unfortunately, it's not as easy to stay alive as I hoped in this dungeon, but yeah, as you see, the just really big umbilicuses that will come should be enough to buffer you. It should be like, now the struggles I had previously, like the DHT pack with the owls and stuff like that, if I time umbilicuses properly there, or the bats in a DHT, etc. at the end, those things should be a lot easier to stay alive on now. You do obviously sacrifice some damage by using the belt. Ideally, like, realistically, I don't know if the belt's better, because if you get a Cephas proc while you have Vamp Blood up, I think that would probably be higher impact than having more Vamp Bloods up. But I don't know. It's really hard to say. It really is. So I don't know. Anyway, that's what I use for this dungeon. And like I said, I have 2 defensive trinkets on right now, so that's not helping me kill this trash at all. But it is very important that I kill it properly and then go right to the boss. I didn't want to waste any more time. I'd spent so much time, like I said, an hour on this boss, and I can't wait to talk about it. You're going to see. This is probably the hardest thing I've soloed in a very long time, and it's only a 10. So I could have, like I said, I expected to easily be able to do the 12, but the ads are just too much. They have too much health. I simply can't survive them. Or the problem is I can't kill them quick enough, really. Survival of them wouldn't be a problem if I can kill them quick enough. So you see, I don't use Dancing Room Weapon on the pole. Leads to a kind of a rocky start to the fight. We're going to talk about this in depth here, okay? Leads to a rocky start to the fight. But what I need in my head is to have everything up for these ads, because if I don't, they're going to overwhelm me and they will not die fast enough. Like, basically on the 12 and even on this. So that's a weird thing too. Let's talk about this. So you see, I'm trying to grab the purple things, because if you run over them, an ad won't spawn from them. So I get a couple, I'm not getting them all, obviously, but yeah, only 6 ads spawn there. So that's very good. Of course, not great, because I do have Dancing Rune Weapon up. So it's would have actually been better to leave, like, to not even make an effort for that and try to, like, if I was going to maximize, it would be all DPS. But this one's trivial. I have Dancing Rune Weapon up. These ads are dying no matter what. No problems whatsoever. But you'll see the problem here is that the ads will still kind of be like at like 5 and 10% when he's putting out the next set of purple puddles. So I have to switch to them and focus them down. Now look at this. Watch this. When the boss moves, these purple puddles move too. How bizarre is that? That's one of those things that, like, I don't know if Blizzard knows happens, to be honest. Like, it seems very strange to me. I feel like that's not the intended way that the mechanic is meant to be handled. But yeah, even on 10, you see here dropping very low from doing this. It's pretty much the only way, because if all of those ads spawn, we'll just never kill them all in time. We don't have the burst AoE that other classes have. We have some good options, of course, like Umbilicus, is going to really be strong with these packs in mind here. But regardless, it's still very difficult to kill them in time and survive. And that was the problem I was having on 12. On 10, I knew I wouldn't have any problems. The Dark Slash was hitting me with them, attacking me, and it was pushing me to the brink. I do have Bone Storm for this dungeon as well. Probably should have talked about that early. Do have Bone Storm. It's got some usage, but really I only have it for the first boss. What I meant to do was use it for the first boss and then go out and switch it out before I touch the lantern or whatever the horn is up there. And I forgot to do that, so I keep it for the rest of the dungeon. But yeah, as you see here, the mobs have a lot of health. They have a relative amount of health. I feel like, they're not necessarily meant to be killed. I actually get feared there, which is horrible. But luckily, I don't get feared into that volcanic. That happened to me a couple times on the 12. I got feared and ran into volcanic. And it's just the volcanic once again is happening. So there you go. So the ads are just dying as these next set of puddles are coming. So like if we had dozens of mobs attacking us when these puddles were coming out, there would be no way I could soak them. So that would mean we'd have even more ads next time, right? Do you understand? So say like if I did it wrong, if I had like 4 ads alive and there was puddles and I didn't get a single one because of it, then there would be 12 ads next time. Then there would probably be like 6 ads alive, and then the next one I'd get 12 more. You understand? Like, so it's just, it would be, it's really, really, really difficult. Let's put it that way. This was way harder than I expected it to be. Actually surviving the boss isn't too dangerous. Like, the boss is hit, the Dark Slash, but on 12 it was hitting me for about half my health, which, you know, typically I'd easily be able to Death Strike up immediately. But when I'm trying to pull resources to have Bone Storm is what really carries me on this fight. Without Bone Storm, I don't think it's even possible as Blood, even on 10, without the damage from Bone Storm, and then of course the healing on it with Bone Storm. Basically, even on the 12, when I had Bone Storm up, the Dark Slash would hit me and the Bone Storm would just heal me to full immediately. Between that and Consumption, so you got to use Consumption properly there. You don't always have to Death Strike. Like, if you're trying to pool resources for the Bone Storm and he's about to Dark Slash you when you have all these ads attacking you, just use Consumption instead. It's going to do way more healing than Death Strike would anyway. Oh, it's going to do relatively a high amount of healing anyway. So as you see there, I'm getting a bunch of these, about 4 of these. Yeah, so that leaves us with what, 5 ads, 6 ads still. So yeah, I guess that means there's 10 that spawn. I don't know, but regardless, very dangerous, very difficult stuff. And yeah, this dungeon really pushed me to the brink. I did not expect it to be this difficult. I mean, as you see, it's sped up 1.5 times, and this is still like a 10-minute fight. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. I can't really get over how difficult this was. This kind of put it in perspective. But as I said in the last video, my goal here is to solo every single dungeon that is possible to solo. So even if I have to do them on 10, I'll be happy to do it. Don't forget, 10 right now is the highest the rewards come from. So I still feel accomplished for doing this. There's still people every week who cannot complete a 10 or struggle and wipe. You know, they spend as long as I'm spending here alone with a group of 5. In fact, I did a couple arcways on my Demon Hunter last night. I tried to get a 10 done on my Demon Hunter last minute, and both arcways, we spent about an hour in there, and we got to the last boss, and the healer simply could not heal Grievous, and we just wiped, disbanded, and that was that. So yeah, it's pretty funny. Now, arcway obviously is a whole different topic because the way I probably wouldn't be able to solo that place, but regardless, anyway, Maw, I knew it was possible. I knew it wouldn't be that long. It's a short video because it's a short dungeon. We didn't skip anything. We pulled everything exactly as I would pull it in normal. But this pack here is interesting as well. These 2 guys are going to drain soul, okay? So the best approach, there's a couple things like this in this dungeon. This is important. I wanted to make a video on this for a reason, because these guys are going to heal themselves, essentially. So you need to focus one down and just say, fuck the other one. Interrupt the one that you want to kill and let the other one heal up. You won't be able to stop both of them realistically. So I just killed the one on the right there, and it's going to go down eventually, you know. Every time it does the heal thing, it's going to heal up, but I'm going to interrupt that, and then the only other ability it has is that, I think it's 6-pound barrel or something like that, and like, I don't know, everybody was making jokes about that barrel in the Mythic Dungeon Invitational, but whatever. So yeah, then you just kill the other one, and then of course with Sanguine, you want to move him out of Sanguine. Not me though. I like the extra challenge. Let's go. You're gonna see some really funny play with Sanguine. Not necessarily what you want to do, especially on the Mariner coming up here. But yeah, not a lot to talk about here. So let's talk about some other things. So in terms of the soloing potential, like I said, the character that I'm playing, my Blood DK, has gotten immensely more strong, more sturdy too. I feel very sturdy now, thanks to some relics that I got, and of course the legendary chest. Very comfortably healing up in any pack of 5-man, you know, like 5-man trash type pack. Very easy to survive with the combo of Umbilicus now with the chest, and of course the availability of other CDs like Vamp Blood, and of course Dancing Rune Weapon, stuff like that. So I think I could do things that would be way more challenging. I mean, to do dungeons, of course. Like, I did the Court 13, if you guys remember watching that video, Court 13 about a month ago, and the last boss really pushed me, the second to last boss really pushed me to the limits. But now, I think I could probably do that on 15. That's the one that I am very confident with. Almost nothing in there should stop me from doing it. You know, DHT on the other hand, there's some really dangerous stuff, but I know I can do DHT's bosses, whereas Court of Stars is the opposite. Like, I know the bosses are the hardest part of the dungeon, and the trash is the easiest part. So other than that one mini boss. It's quite a pain, but I don't know. This is a great week for soloing. I think I'm going to try to do one more solo this week too. I really would like to get a Halls of Valor in. Halls of Valor is the one that I have yet to try at all, and I think I can do very easily. Then after that, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's hear some opinions on it if you can. What do you think would be the easiest dungeons to solo? So if we're gonna make a tier list for it, maybe we will make a tier list for it. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting, actually. Yeah. So I definitely think Triumvirate's impossible unless you're playing a Demon Hunter. If you guys watched a while ago, I actually broke the train in Seated Triumvirate, so I could skip the first boss. Obviously, you can't complete Mythic Plus without killing all the bosses, though, so it would kind of be a hollow victory to say, oh, I killed the last boss, which I don't know if you even could kill the last boss. Last boss seems like it'd be impossible, too, because the ramping damage that it does, I can't imagine that would be easy to survive, but I'd have to do it on Demon Hunter, to my knowledge. I don't think I could make the jumps as DK. I don't know, maybe I'll try it someday, actually. It might be worth trying, but regardless, yeah, there's ways that you can like skip the first boss. They'll probably be fixed, or they probably have been fixed by now. I tried that first week it was out, but I had done a lot of it on the PTR. I did a live stream where I kind of like, I went from the first boss to the last boss. I didn't kill a single boss. So that was good. And, oh, actually, that's a problem. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You can't actually kill the second boss. Yeah, you can't even pull him because he has, those void things won't spawn unless Ilaria's cutscene happens, so I don't know. Kind of unfortunate. You could complete the dungeon, but you can't kill two of the bosses, so yeah, that one's out. Unfortunately, I'll never be able to do that one, to my knowledge, unless they change something about the first boss, which is possible. Or I guess I can kill it fast, and it's never going to happen, but if I killed it fast enough that he didn't send me down. That's the problem, right? Because if you're the only one there, he will send you down into that like shadow phase where you have to kill 10 of those fucking blobs or whatever. So that one's out. A dungeon like Cathedral, I think, is near impossible, too. I don't know, though. I haven't tried it. People keep telling me it's impossible, but it's not, like, hard. I don't think it's, like, actually impossible. I think it's just incredibly difficult. And the real problem is going to be the last two bosses. I think they would be next to impossible unless you're, like, really undervaluing the key. Like, whatever, under-leveling, de-leveling the key. And maybe you can do it on, like, a 5 or a 6 or something. I don't know, but the last few bosses, just to kill the ads in time, it seems like it would be impossible. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it someday on like 10 or something. I fucking hate that place, though. That's my least favorite dungeon ever, without question. I absolutely despise the last two bosses in there and most of the dungeon itself. The layout is really stupid. I think it's stupid how you're constantly going upstairs, fighting on stairs, fighting in small corridors. It's almost as bad as Blackrook. Blackrook's worse in that regard, but at least the bosses aren't retarded in Blackrook. Now, speaking of Blackrook, I don't think I can solo that one either, but I definitely would like to try at some point. The other, I would basically do everything like you're doing in Mythic Plus, just invis the first part of the trash, go right to the first boss, obviously hope to one-shot it, otherwise we're waiting for another invis. But yeah, I would expect to be able to kill the first boss in one pull, no problems, no matter what difficulty. The ads getting to the boss should not be a problem. I would expect that to be a small problem. Like the ads getting to him means I'm going to take a lot of damage, but if I just save everything, like if I save Vamp Blood, AMS, and Iron Skin Brew, I almost said Iron Skin Brew, Icebound Fortune. Look at that. That guy healed up like his full health because he was channeling the, man, that's annoying. But anyway, I assume I could survive no matter what that hit was, but maybe not. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'd have to take Purgatory. Everybody's telling me I should be taking Purgatory for 5-mans because people were doing it in the Invitational, but I just don't get that. I really don't. Obviously, they were doing it in the Invitational because if they wiped, they lost $50,000. You understand? Like, I don't know. I'm not worried about that. I'd rather maximize my damage than take a cheat death mechanic on a blood DK when I could solo the fucking dungeon. You know what I mean? Like what? Anyway, so. Yeah, regardless, Blackrook, I think, is another one that would be out because I didn't even talk about why yet. The third boss is the one that I think would be impossible. The third boss, another one of those types of mechanics like Laura in Seated Triumvirate. He does more and more damage with his charge thing. The way it's meant to be handled is the charge is meant to get hit by multiple people. Like if it goes out, twice in a row, a second person should get it, not the same person twice. I could easily take 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, but I'm not going to be able to take 20. Like I assume he would do that based on how long. It's taking me like 7 minutes to kill these bosses on 10. So I'd imagine I'd be getting like way more than 10 of those charges, and I don't see how I would even survive that. Even if it was possible, it would probably be almost like it would push me down to such a low percentage that I would never survive the rest of the mechanics. So I think that one's impossible on anything like 10 or higher, which is what I like to do. I don't really want to go under 10. I think it's stupid to go under 10. I think anybody could solo anybody could solo anything under 10. Even damage dealers I think could solo dungeons under 10. So that would probably be the third worst for me. So obviously see impossible. Well, I guess Archway is impossible too, so that should be the worst, the third worst. At least Blackrook is possible, to my knowledge. There's not a mechanic that would prevent me from doing the fucking whole dungeon, like Archway. Archway's robot boss is impossible. He will stun you, and there's no way out of it, to my knowledge. I haven't tried it, but people told me it's not actually a stun, it's a suppress. So none of my abilities that break stuns will work. I won't be able to icebound out of it or anything like that. But regardless, it would happen probably 5 times in the dungeon, in the fight. So if I could get out of 3 and not the 4th, I'd still died. Like, I can't actually do the fight when you're in that. You don't take, you can't do damage. At least I'm pretty sure it works like that. I'm pretty sure when you're in that prison, you can't do damage. But maybe you can. And if you can, then maybe I could heal through the damage for the whole fight. It would just be like a really, really intense tank race. So if anybody knows anything about that, let me know. But I'm fairly certain and confident at the same time that you cannot actually do damage when you're in that prison on the Archway boss. So if that's the case, that's the third hardest because it's also impossible. Then a 4th would probably be Blackrook. Honestly, I think this is the 5th hardest. This place is a real pain. All 3 bosses are very difficult, and I had no idea how hard that first boss was going to be. You're going to see on the second boss too, man. This is no joke. This is just as hard as the first boss, but it's a 10 only, so I'm able to do it in a lot less effort. But regardless, the bosses in here are very difficult, so I'm trying to think. Like, I think this would probably be, I don't know, man. There's probably something in one of the Karazhans that's impossible to solo too. I have to think about it, but I'm fairly confident that I can solo both Karazhans. I'm not sure. I've never tried it. Vizdoom, let's see. Don't know. Vizdoom's the hard part. Chest would be a huge ball ache, but I think I'd be able to do it. These guys are, by the way, they're going to keep fearing you. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't interrupt both of them, but you can AMS it. So if you AMS one, the fear won't actually hit you. That time I get feared on purpose, so he would get moved out of the Sanguine. Smart play on my part, right? Anyway, the upper care, let's try to think. Shade of Medivh, maybe? I don't know. Curator. The whole room would fill up with orbs. I don't know if I could kill those orbs fast enough. I'm not sure. The Karazhans are hard dungeons. Like, I really think they're hard. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about Harboron. This boss is one of the more dangerous bosses in 5-man simply because of his frontal AoE thing that I get hit by almost every time it goes out. It doesn't do fucking shit to me, okay? So I don't give a shit about it whatsoever. What does suck is these phantom ads. These things are a nightmare, and if this was anything higher than 10, I probably would not have been able to do it. They run away from me, first of all, and they throw this shadow damage at me the whole time while they're running. So basically, I have to kill 5 ads every like 20 seconds. And if I don't, I'm screwed. Now, one good thing about this is those ads can't stack up. Like once they're spawned, I think you're going to see it a couple times in this pull. Once they're spawned, they're not going to be able to come, like new ones cannot come out. But they do replace the ones that are out. So unfortunately, what I was hoping to have was that the new ones couldn't come out, and then the other ones would just die eventually because it's blood boil. But they don't. They replace them. The other ones go away, and the other ones new ones come out. And they don't have my diseases on them, so that sucks. But yeah, the real problem here is this Void Snap. This does a lot of damage, and because you're the only person in the group, every time he puts out these shadow patches, it will pick you. So basically, the whole covered, like the whole around the boss area is covered. I'm running around trying to kill these things. Look at these things running into the walls. Typical Blizz AI here. Good mob count right here we got, or good mob AI we got going on here. But anyway, they're very dangerous. This whole fight is incredibly difficult, and if I didn't have as much magic reduction as I do, thanks to AMS and of course Vamp Blood healing me up, this would be near impossible. I think this is one of the hardest fights. I had no idea these whatever those like little shadowy ads are. They do so much damage. It's unreal. Look at the damage coming in from them. I am getting destroyed. And then on top of that, of course, I'm standing in purple stuff, Void Snap's going out, and I'm getting hit by the frontal cleave constantly. A very hard fight alone. Very hard fight alone. And frankly, if it had any actual fixes, like if I'd probably get hit by Volcanic at some point, but regardless, if like any of the actual fixes affected this fight, it wouldn't be possible. I don't see how I would do it, because these ads are hard to kill in time. And that's really the crux of everything here. The challenge that I'm facing, like even the challenge when we discussed it in Emerald, or in a Court of Eternal Night, or Cathedral of Eternal Night, the challenge is that I cannot kill things fast enough to survive it, right? It's not like I can't survive it. If for some reason things didn't steadily increase in terms of damage requirements, I could do anything in the game. I could do raids, I could do anything, you know? The only reason I can't do most raids is because there's an enrage timer, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that's the hard part about soloing, is the blood decay. You don't do enough damage to kill these things quick enough. Whereas a Vengeance Demon Hunter, oh my god, I can only imagine. If I was, like, equally geared on Vengeance, I did a bunch on Vengeance on Monday night, like I said, and, whew, I was doing a lot of damage, guys. I was doing more damage than my actual DK, which is scary because that Demon Hunter has one legendary that's not even 4 Vengeance. The other one's completely useless, does not affect me damage-wise at all, and I have probably the worst trinkets any human being has on the planet right now, and they're both defensive trinkets. Well, one's a stat stick, but regardless, they're very, 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 very bad. Does not increase my damage whatsoever. Let me. That's what I'm trying to say here. So, yeah, I think Vengeance is definitely soloing gods right now. They're definitely the best at it, and they have so much stuff that they could do to help themselves in 5-mans, where Blood is basically just gimmicking out in terms of healing. If you can't out-heal the damage, you can't really do it. And you're going to see that a lot on these bosses, you know, this boss especially, but also on Helya. Helya is quite dangerous as well. Oh, I can't wait to show you Helya, man. That fight's nuts. But anyway, here we go. Things are getting really bad here. Dancing Rune Weapon's on its way up, but we're getting really low here. We're struggling. We don't have any CDs up here, and these ads are just running away from me, pelting me with the shadow damage. It's just so bizarre. I don't know. I don't like that. I understand why they made it this way. Obviously, you're meant to have a group. Everybody's supposed to kill them quickly before they get all out of range there. But the fact that they just run away, they just like make a beeline away from you. So there you see it. I actually killed them right as the next set comes out, which I probably wasted my time there, wasted my damage for sure. But yeah, there's three of those ads out, and this guy's out here void snapping, so gonna have to snap him. Oh, lol, you know what I mean? Good joke. But anyway, yeah, that's that. So not much else to say. Very tough fight, very complicated. You really don't understand how difficult some of these fights are until you come in here and do them alone, because of course, typically you have more players killing these ads for you, and when the ads are not dying, that is a very big problem. So anyway, back to the difficulty of the dungeons. Like I said, Blackrook, very difficult. I don't think I could do Blackrook, but I definitely think, let's think more about Kara. So Adaman, I don't know about Adaman, because I don't know. I guess people solo that shit all the time. It should not be a problem, but I don't know about that magic debuff that he puts on. I don't know how much damage that does. I don't know how long it lasts. I've never not had it dispelled. I don't know if it can even go on tanks. I don't know. I don't know anything about that mechanic, but I think I would not be able to do Adaman. Now, when I did the Nightbane run, Morose was very difficult as well. So I think lower Kara would be impossible as well on any actual Mythic Plus, because there's pretty much, I don't know how I would survive killing those 4 ads. Like, Morose would be putting dozens of bleed. Like, I'd probably have like 5 stacks of that bleed up on me, you know? So I don't know. Now we gotta wait for these ads to come out. Just want to make sure we get the interrupts here. Very easy when there's only one, but later on there's that and a healer. So we kind of have to let him fear us and make sure the healer dies. We'll talk about that next pack. But anyway, upper Kara, probably doable. Like I said, I can definitely do a Curator. It'd probably be hard. I assume I could do Shade of Medivh. I don't really know. I guess like the phase where he splits into birds would be very dangerous, but I don't really think it would be that bad. And then the worm, that might be interesting actually. I don't know about the worm, because you have to eat I don't know how that works alone. Realistically, I'm never going to do those dungeons, guys. I hate to say it, but I don't like them at all as Mythic Plus. I love it as an actual dungeon. I think it's one of the coolest ideas they ever had, implementing another really long dungeon again. But now that it's out on Mythic Plus, nobody does it on Mythic 0, you know? It was way better. Like, they should have never made it a Mythic Plus. It should have always just been this harder Mythic 0, you know? Because it was the perfect answer to what Like, people long for nostalgia, right? Anyway, let's talk about this real quick. So there's 2 healers, right? So my approach is just stun, grip, and then just try to damage through it. I'm not doing anything crazy, but this is a pack that if you don't do right, you'll never get past it. They'll just keep healing each other. So I need to make use. I have 3 ways to interrupt them effectively. A 4th way if I need it, but realistically, I won't be using Gorfine's Grasp to interrupt anything. So just interrupt the one, like, use actual Mind Freeze on the one that you want to kill. It'll be up more frequently. And then the one that you're not killing, try to like let it get its cast to as long as possible to kind of like maximize the time it's not doing anything. That's probably the best advice I can give. But yeah, once you kill one, obviously that's that. So anyway, like I said, I really liked it better when Karazhan was like this dungeon that was kind of like a step ahead of most Mythic Zeros. People weren't doing crazy Mythic Plus at the time yet either. So it was kind of worth running Kara every week. It was kind of like your alt's best friend. You'd get good gear from it, and you wouldn't have to spend too much time in 5-man like Mythic Pluses. And the good thing about it is it's your standard 5-man. Like, you get bosses. Every boss drops some loot. That's one thing that I definitely don't like about Mythic Plus, because a lot of people fucking leave, man. It's so ridiculous how many times I get to the end of the dungeon and we don't get anything. Like, we do the dungeon for an hour and people leave. It's just so. I lost it last night, man. When we did that arc, we were in there for like an hour and a half, and somebody's like, "Yeah, I gotta go." You fucking kidding me, dude? Fuck you, man. If you gotta go, quote unquote, then don't fucking do Mythic Plus. It's just so ridiculous, man. I just can't. That's the kind of shit that I just can't stand. Because that first of all, that dude was terrible, right? Wasted an hour in there. I was basically soloing the dungeon, even though I was on Vengeance. Like, the rest of the group was so shit. If I was on my DK, I definitely could have fucking soloed it. That guy leaves, it doesn't even fucking matter. I could have easily finished it from there. But on my shitty ass Demon Hunter, I don't know how to play it, honestly. And yeah, it's not easy. So when you're under geared, you don't know how to play something. So we were wiping, but the healer was useless. Basically, every single fight, the healer dies. And then we have 2 rogues. One's really good and one's really bad. And this is the really bad rogue I was talking about. And then we have this enhancement shaman who's like super geared, but just dying constantly. Oh, no. That was the first group. Forget that. We had a marksmanship hunter, the dude who put the group together. This dude died on every pull. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. This dude died on every pull. The slicers, they go out, dead. Dude doesn't even make an effort to move. And then he's one of these guys who whenever they die, they have to talk about it. It's like the dude dies and he's like, "Whoa, that did a lot of damage, man." I was like, yeah, too bad you couldn't have moved out of it, right? Like, it's just so ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, back to this. So yeah, the Karas are probably the next up. I would say they're like the mid-tier of difficulty. I'll probably never do them, like I said, just because I cannot stand them. I did lower Kara on like a low difficulty, but I don't think I'd be able to do it on high difficulty. So let's see. In terms of, I guess if I did lower Kara on low difficulty, I was able to survive the damage. I don't know. Maybe I'll try lower at some point. Lower, I don't mind. Lower is definitely way better than upper in my opinion. But for soloing, I think it would be much harder. I think it would be much harder than actual upper, because upper's bosses are dangerous, but like when you're alone, nobody could fucking wipe you. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? I don't know how Medivh would work when there's only one Flame Wreath, but I assume it would never be a problem. So the amount of times I wipe to that is just silly. So yeah, upper and lower, lower a little bit easier depending, or upper, I don't know, it depends on the bosses. Then after that, it's a toss-up. I think Nell Slayer is probably next. I think Nell's another one that I just cannot do, but I actually might be able to do on a 10 or something like that, kind of like I did here. The last 2 bosses are very difficult, once again, because there's mechanics that just get worse and worse the more they happen. And I don't know, that's an unfortunate part, because in Mythic Plus, it doesn't even come into play, right? Like, you're never going to ignore so many ads that the worm's just going to kill you, right? You're never going to go from extremely comfortable to all of a sudden so many of the ads got through to the worm that we cannot do the fight anymore. But that's what's going to happen when I'm alone. You know, it's really annoying. And then that Cups game, don't even get me started on that guy. That would be the hardest. That's like the longest fight. It's like a 20-some minute fight. But I honestly might try it again on 10 just to see if I can do it. If I get a 10... If I get a 10 Nels, if I get a Nels at all, we'll do it this weekend. That would be one that I would like to try just to see what happens. Fairly confident I can still skip the Cups guy, so we'll see if that's possible. I might have to watch how I did it again, but I would definitely like to try the worm guy. If I could do the worm guy, I think I could probably do the last guy. The last guy is really tough because of the same problem. He's going to summon these ads. They're going to fixate on me. gonna have to fucking kill them, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm just gonna be fighting ads the whole time. It's just such a ball ache. But anyway, that's fine. That's part of soloing, so that's of course something we have to deal with now. This guy here that we're about to fight, this was an unsung hero in terms of how dangerous this guy was. I did not expect this to be this hard, and it was long and very difficult. So yeah, I don't know. You'll see. You just got to interrupt that. Every time he does that disturbing shout or disrupting face or whatever it's called, he puts some kind of debuff on me that makes me do less damage. And fuck you, man. That's all I care about is damage, so fuck you. But anyway, you could interrupt it. You could AMS it. I try to do that. I think I'll let a few off. But once again, the ads are just piling up, hitting me with these necrotic bolts like it's freaking Dota 2 or something. Just getting ridiculous. I can't kill them fast enough, so I just got to keep trying to whittle away at him and hope my blood boil will kill them. But, you know, it doesn't, so I don't know. Same deal here. Very difficult. I do want to talk about some more things before Hellia, though. So, yeah, let's see. So, Neltharion Slayer, very tough. And then after that, I don't know what's left, right? Court, DHT... Oh, Vault of the Wardens. Vault of the Wardens is one that I think I can do. I haven't tried it. Everybody tells me it's one of the easier ones to solo, so I think I would try it. I absolutely hate Vault of the Wardens, but I think they would be right in saying that the bosses prove no real challenge. Yeah, every boss is tough when you're with a group of 5, but there's nothing in there that should actually be too difficult. So that's one that I've yet to try that I think I can do. But it's that and Halls. Those are the only two that I've yet to try that I think I can do. And I think that's all the dungeons, right? Obviously, I can do DHT. Obviously, I can do Court. Obviously, I now proved that I can do Maw, even though it's very difficult, but still lower down in terms of difficulty. So, yeah, what am I missing? I'm missing a dungeon. I feel like I'm missing a dungeon. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Halls. No, I can do it. I just have yet to do it. So hopefully we can get a Halls or Halls, Vault, or DHT, or no, Halls, Vault, or Nelski. I'll do another dungeon this weekend live probably instead of this post recording if I can do it. But as you see here, this is just nuts. My health has dropped mad low multiple times. Luckily, we're getting like 60 billion umbilicuses. Even now, I almost die. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. So, okay, that's it. Talk about this fight. This is incredibly hard. I was told that you need to kill 6 tentacles, which I think is right. You need to kill 6 tentacles in order to advance to the next phase, okay? So let's count them out. So I'm trying to kill these 3, like the 3 that are wrapped around the sides here, because I think if I can kill these 3, I can do the fight, right? But I can't kill these 3 before the next destructor tentacle spawns. As you see, not even close. Now, when there's nobody in range of the destructor tentacle, I didn't even know this until just recently. When there's nobody in range of the destructor tentacle, he does the slam. I knew that part. But the slam actually does more and more fucking damage the more times he does it. Thanks, Blizzard. Thanks. I mean, that's never going to come into play in Mythic Plus, ever. No, at no point are you ever going to have nobody in melee range of it for such a long time that he's slamming and doing this much damage. So anyway, yeah, what I'm trying to do here, let's talk about the meta strategy. So at one point, there's going to be 3 destructors up. What I'm trying to do is stay in range of at least 1 or 2 of them, so they're not stacking the slam, and then move in range of the other one, like abandon them, kind of like AoE them, kind of like cleave them all down, because I can't let them slam all day, but I also can't, like right there, I could stand in range of 2 of them, but they put that bleed out too. That does a lot of damage. They do a lot of damage to me. So I could stay in range of 2 of them, but I choose not to. I let 2 of them slam, and now I'm going to go in range of this one. It's got like 14 stacks of the slam. We're going to kill it, or we're going to let the slam fall off. Then we're going to go back to the front one, let the slam fall off, and go to the middle. You know, that's how we're going to handle this. Because if we just focus on one, it's never going to happen. Now, so we've killed 3 tentacles by now, I think. And all we need to do is kill, we must have killed 4. I don't know. I should have paid more attention, but regardless, you'll be able to tell after you watch the video. But yeah, I think this is the 5th. I don't know. Things start getting really hairy here. Luckily, I have Rune Weapon back up, but I accidentally used an old war pot right in the middle. I meant to use a healing pot, and I fucking fat-fingered an old war pot. So it just completely fucks me. I definitely did not need an old war pot, but yeah, there we go. So we've managed to get past it. Now, when I tried to solo this a long time ago, that was what was impossible. And this port's not easy either, man. You know, there's nothing I could attack. I'm not getting any healing from anywhere. So if I didn't transition right, like if I had 2 low health, that knockback would have killed me. And I probably would have unsubscribed, deleted this channel, and maybe deleted my... no, I'm not going to say that. But regardless, I would be very upset. So that's that. Once you get to this point, it's over. There's nothing on this fight that should kill you. But incredibly difficult getting to this part. It took me about 4 or 5 pulls. I needed lust. I didn't have lust for anything else. I probably should have. Like I said, I might have been able to do the 12 other bosses with lust and stuff. There's no way I would have done this 12, this last boss, Helia here. There's no way. Those tentacles take way too long to kill, even on 10, and they do way too much damage. It's so absurd that the more they slam, the more damage they do. It's so unfair, honestly. So I'm not actually sure what died. I didn't, like I said, I should have paid attention while I was doing the commentary here, but you could check it out if you want. I assume the 2 tentacles at the front died eventually to dots. And then that would mean that I killed 4 demolishers or whatever. I think that's what happened, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming that is what happened. But anyway, it was really tough. It took me, like I said, a couple pulls. It looked like I thought coming into it that was going to be impossible, and I was just going to upload a video of like, yeah, here's my best attempt. I was only able to kill like 3 or whatever tentacles, but I actually can kill them relatively fast, like faster than I expected. That was the problem. Last time I tried this, I was completely undergeared. I had no damage. I was doing like 200k. The video is still up there. It was the one I talk about, J. Allen Brack or whatever. But, or maybe it wasn't that one. But anyway, it's up there. You can still watch it. I wiped a Helia a couple times, have no hope of killing her. But I was doing like no damage at the time. So I was basically like getting the situation where there was like 4 tentacles up on the first tentacle, essentially. But yeah, it's a lot easier now because of good damage. But once again, Vengeance would be way better at it. I imagine they would have more than enough healing to kill them without ever having any problems. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. So that's it. Pretty much it. Like I said, I'm going to try to do more soloing. This is a great week for it. Once again, Sanguine, Volcanic, guys. The soloing is where it's at. You get no mechanics, essentially. They don't affect you when you're alone whatsoever. The Sanguine, obviously, you just have to move the mobs out of it. That should be one of the easiest things in the game to do at this point. And, of course, oh, Eye of Azhar. That's the other one. I knew I was forgetting one. I don't think I can do Eye either, because the last boss, when he puts out that storm thing, I don't think it's possible to survive it. But I'm fairly confident I could do everything else. So maybe we'll try it someday. But yeah, I would like to, right now I'd like to try Vault, I'd like to try Nels, and I would definitely like to try Halls of Valor. So those will probably be the next 3 dungeons I do. If I ever finish Helia. This is so annoying. Like, it's so easy, but it takes so long. Now, one peculiar thing before we go, one peculiar thing about this fight is it actually came up with like 83% health. I didn't even really pay attention to it, but I definitely saw at least 83. So maybe it had like 84, 85. I was told that the boss would go to 80% and then die. But I think what's happening here is if you kill 6 tentacles, you always break her. But some tentacles do more damage than others or something. I'm not really sure. But regardless, I thought that she come with 80% and then you had to do 10% of her health. But maybe it's 85%. So you like, I never pay attention to percentages, except when I'm soloing things, obviously, because then I have to. But like when I'm doing an actual dungeon, I don't give a fuck about what the boss's health is at. I have that timer up there. It tells me how long it's going to take to kill them. That's all I look at. I don't care about the percentage. Obviously, it's going to take me another 36 minutes to kill this fight. But luckily, we don't actually have to kill her. We just have to get her to 70, so that's good. But anyway. Yeah, so if you guys know anything about the things I talked about, let me know. Otherwise, if you have any suggestions for soloing dungeons, please let me know. Like I said, we're going to try to do those 3 at some point in the future. And then after that, I don't know what I'll do. I guess I would try to do maybe like a 15, you know, something higher, more difficult. Once I've mastered. Once I've gotten better at some of the, I know I can do I know I can do Court. It could probably do Court 15 right now this week. It'd be very easy, but I doubt I'll get a Court 15, so it's unlucky. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions or you want to talk about anything, let me know. Discord's in the description. Hope you guys will join. Otherwise, see you guys later. See you in the next one is what I meant to say.